Hello and welcome to the fourth of the Stage Tech Digital Subtitle Training series of videos. I hope you know who I am by now, but if not, go and watch the other 3 videos first. I'm Ollie, Program Systems Manager at Stage Tech. I hope you've been taking a break between these videos. I know it's a lot to take on board, but we are committed to having this information up for the duration of the COVID-19 situation, so you can rewatch as much as you like to make the most of our expertise. If you can, please donate to Stage Tech, so we can keep on working with you to ensure the arts and cultural sector doesn't exclude people who are deaf, deafened or hard of hearing. So let's dive right into it. Subtitles in your organization. So this is just talking a little bit about how we can embed access within the organization. So it's not an afterthought, it's not something that's just on the front facing end, it's something that's incorporated into the organization as a whole. So first of all, top tips for talking about subtitles. This is about talking to other people within your organization to get them on board with subtitles, because occasionally some people do resist. To be expected, and we just have to work with them and work around it. So first of all, top priority is equal access. That's what we do. That's why we're here. We are here providing equal access. Subtitles give the largest amount of access to the largest number of people. In the first video, we talked about the different types of access for deaf people and who these benefit. So if you haven't seen that, do go back and watch that. But yeah, subtitles, it gives a huge amount of access to a huge amount of people. And most importantly, it doesn't require customers or visitors to learn any extra skills. And this is something that's really important. It just fits seamlessly with what people already know and what people already do. And as we said before, it benefits more than just deaf people, it benefits a whole range of people. However, the important thing to remember is that the priority for subtitles is deaf people. What I mean by that is that you must remember not to compromise the quality of the subtitles for the sake of hearing people or other people's comfort. If somebody's saying, let's do it in this font so that it fits the aesthetic, but the font is difficult to read, that's compromising the quality and accessibility of the subtitles for the sake of, the artist and their sort of vision. Sorry to the artist, but personally, I would rather have readable subtitles than subtitles that look pretty, that I can't read. And similarly, if somebody's saying, oh, can you not put subtitles on this exhibit because it compromises the feel of it being, a historic video, in that case, really, again, you have to say, I understand where you're coming from. However, to do that would be to reduce the number of people who can access the video, which is not what you want, really. You don't want to be cutting people off. Next tip is understanding your audience. So again, in a previous video, we talked a lot about the different audiences who benefit from subtitles and how different audiences benefit from subtitles. I gave you loads of facts and figures there. And what this tip is talking about is picking the right ones to convince people. So if you've got, say, a show or an exhibition that is targeted at older people, use the statistics about older people. Use the fact that 40% of people over 50 and 70% of people over 70 will have a hearing loss. Target that. If your audience is mostly children, talk about how subtitles help literacy, how there's 45,500 children in the UK who experience some sort of hearing loss, not including children with temporary hearing loss. Talk about how it helps people to understand if English is not their first language. If your show or exhibition is targeted in a place where you get lots of tourists, use the right facts and figures to show why subtitles will benefit your audience particularly. Identify key champions. So this is talking about finding the right people in the organization to support and champion access and subtitling. Often we get a lot of people who are sort of in more junior positions who are really enthusiastic about access, and obviously they come to us and they're really excited to do it, and that's great. Then we get to it and they get to it and there's no time, there's no budget, and because they don't get to decide how much time and budget there is, the people at the top, they're making those decisions and they say, this is not important, take it off the list, we'll focus on this instead, which is a shame. So they're the ones to target. The people who are making the decisions, find them and convince them why subtitles should be required as standard, so that they can make sure it stays on the agenda, it stays on the budget, and it's included and planned from the start. It's much easier to get subtitling done and to prioritize it when you get support from above. Next tip, focusing on the benefits from investing. We talked a little bit about how subtitling is an investment in the video and the future of the videos. Focus on this, focus on the investment. It provides greater access, it provides increased engagement, it improves your reputation, and it benefits more than just deaf people. And if you're monetizing videos on YouTube, you get more views, you get, more money. So really focus on that. Don't focus entirely just on what it's going to cost you. Focus on how it's going to benefit you, how it's going to benefit your viewers and your visitors. And then following on from that, enhancing visitor experience. So again, it improves access, it's equal access, it improves people's experience, whether they know that they have an access need, whether they don't have an access need. It allows access to the video in an area that's noisy or if the viewer's first language isn't English, and it improves comprehension and memory of the video. All these things are part of the visitor's experience. Whether they know it or not, it will still add to their having a positive experience, which means that you have happy viewers, happy visitors who will go out and tell their friends how much of a fun time they had watching all this stuff. And then for search engine optimization, we talked about this before in the previous section. Subtitles improve SEO, which means you get results higher on the search page, get more engagement, get more views. We talked about this. And future-proofing, again, we talked about this a little bit before. If we suddenly are required to make everything accessible, you've already done the job. You don't have to do it all at once. And also, when you archive stuff later on, it's much easier to search through the subtitle files to find whatever topic you're looking for than it is to search through the videos if you don't know what's in them. And again, it's a one-time investment. You subtitle the video and it's accessible forever. For as long as you keep that subtitle file with the video, it's accessible. Moving on now to best practice for customers. So this is kind of generally overall for your overall sort of policies and approach within your organization. First thing to talk about is end-to-end accessibility. Now what this concept is this is about the journey that a customer or a visitor goes through around your content, your videos, your exhibitions, around the things that you put out into the world. From the moment when they first know about it, through to looking up on the website, through to going to visit it, through to when they leave, that whole journey should be accessible. What that means is that from the start point where they see an advert on TV or on the internet, they should be able to access it. If it's a poster on the side of a bus, obviously there's no video, so we're not worried about that. If it's a video that's on social media, then it should be subtitled so that it's accessible. Otherwise, it may just be a silent video and you're losing the engagement that you might have got from people who being able to understand what the video is saying. So that's the first point. That needs to be accessible. When they come to your website, the website needs to be accessible. If there's any videos on the website, that needs to be accessible. They need to be subtitled. When they go to the venue, the visit to the venue needs to be accessible. You need to have a T-loop on the front desk and people who are deaf aware so that they can make these visitors feel welcome and included. There's been times where we've heard that people have gone to the theatre to see caption shows and they say, oh, I'd like a ticket to this show, please. And the front of house staff they're talking to is saying, well, you know it's a caption show, right? Are you sure you want to go see that? And that is like a barrier. You do not want to have that. And we actually touched on that a little bit later on. So the front of house staff need to be accessible. The experience through the venue needs to be accessible. If there's exhibitions and there's videos, it needs to be subtitled. If it's a theatre performance, it needs to be captioned. And then when they leave, they leave having been included. They leave having experienced whatever it is that you're doing and experience it fully to the same level as their hearing friends or family or the people around them. And this is what we mean by end-to-end accessibility. And in most cases, this starts online, which is where we come in with subtitling videos. So it's really important to bear in mind that this is included. Subtitling all videos, so this is about having sort of complete access. Partial access or bad access is not much better than no access. If you decide that you've got 3 videos but you can only subtitle 2 of them, how do you decide which one isn't going to be subtitled? Because you're effectively deciding which video your deaf audiences can't watch. I mean, that's a pretty heavy decision and you shouldn't be allowed to make that for them really, but such is the way of things. But what I'm saying is that from the start you should plan to have all 3 subtitled in the first place, because when you do miss out those ones, it excludes people and you don't want that. Listing areas that are accessible on access page, exhibition page and event page, tell people about it. If you put all this work into subtitling things, make sure that people know. Make sure that you are telling your audiences and really let them know you can come see this, you can be part of this. And this is really important because people aren't going to turn up on the off chance that it's accessible. I, as a deaf person, I spent a lot of my life not being included in things. So when someone says, hey, this thing's going on, let's go watch it, my immediate assumption is that I'm not going to be included. It's not going to be accessible to me. If I then go look on the website and find that it is, great. But if I go on the website and can't find anything about whether it's accessible, I'm going to assume that it's not, and then I'm not going to go. So if it is accessible and you haven't told me, then you're missing out, I'm missing out. It's not great for anyone. So do make sure to include it. We're going to talk a little bit more about an access page later on, but with exhibition pages and event pages, make sure that access information is there. And another thing, make sure it's easy to find. When I'm looking on websites, like I said, because I'm so used to things not being accessible, I'm going to spend a few minutes and then I'm gone. If I have to go digging through pages and pages and emails and all this stuff to find out whether or not I can see it, it's not worth my time. I need to know front and center that I can go see this event, right? It needs to be on there. It doesn't have to be the top thing, usually it's kind of like at the bottom, but it has to be there. Next one, training staff to be deaf aware. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the end-to-end accessibility. You want your staff, both the front of house staff and the policy making decision makers, to be deaf aware so that they can incorporate that deaf awareness into working with the public and also making decisions and deciding on policies and budgets and genders and times. It needs to be included in all of that. Ideally, you want to do all of them. If you can't do all of them, then at least enough that any question can be answered quickly and efficiently, particularly with the front of house staff. If a deaf member of the public comes up to them and says, what things have you got that are accessible, and they don't know, then obviously that's not a great experience. And again, if you can't teach everyone, then teach some key people so that they can say, I don't know, but I do know that this person over here who will be here in 10 seconds does know. It's just so that there's something there, as opposed to just, or, like I mentioned earlier, then someone saying, it's captioned, are you sure you want to go to that? Remember, you want to make these people feel welcome and included, because that is what's going to give them their good visitor experience. As well as that, make sure that staff know as much as possible, or at least have a cheat sheet of what things are subtitled, what's accessible, and make sure that these things are turned on. There's been occasions where people have come to us and we've done some subtitling for them, and then they put it on in their venue, and then it's not turned on. And we know this because we have live subtitle tools that go through to see the videos that we've subtitled, and the subtitles aren't turned on, which is just mad. So make sure that these things are all included and that people know that the option is there so that they can make sure it's on. And then the last tip, include access in marketing materials. This kind of crosses over a little bit with telling people about it. Access doesn't have to be an afterthought. It can be a major marketing point. No one's going to be turned off by access. They're not going to say, oh, can you believe that they're making their show captioned or they're subtitling their tour? We're not going to go to that. It's not going to happen. Let people know, market it so that the audiences know and they know to turn up and that they can be there and be included. You've made the effort, throw it in people's faces. Tell people you can come to this event. You can come and watch this thing that you're interested in. It's going to be great. You're going to have a fun time and you're going to be able to access it along with everyone else. So come here, spend your money on us. Let them know. We have some tips on our website at this link here. We'll also put this link in the description. This is some user-focused top tips. It also includes some of the statistics that we went through in the previous video, and then sort of a checklist that you can use for your sort of website and your venues, just to kind of make sure that you're including access. So here is an example of an access page. Everyone ought to have an access page. The industry standard is to have a link at the bottom of the page where you have the other links like contact us, all that kind of thing, just like access or accessibility. This is where people know to look for this, and it should be a whole page by itself, not something else. And you want to have it be easy to reach, generally within sort of one click from the home page. You don't have to go from the home page to something else, then to the access page. If it's sort of home page drop down menu access, fine, that's okay. But it does need to be able to be reached from the home page in sort of one jump so that it's easy to find. Again, because like I said before, if it's difficult to find, I'm gonna give up. So do make sure that's included and that it's easy to find. Generally, you want to have all the access information for all types of access involved on here, but obviously we're going to focus on deaf access. So you'll see in the example here, you've got venue access, which is physical access, caption performance, which is for deaf people, audio described, visually impaired, and relaxed performances. So you want to have all these kind of things here. This is really a great place. And obviously you also want to have sort of a statement to say your sort of commitment to access and to making your audiences feel welcome. Another thing to note here is that you should have a dedicated access email, by which I mean access at whatever your sort of email format is. This makes people feel more listened to, and it's important that it says access. Don't just say, if you've got any questions, go to the box office, because from personal experience, when I see that, I say, well, they're not the right person, they're not going to know the answer to this. I need the access person. So make sure you have that email there so that it really makes people feel like they're going to the right place. Even if it still goes to this box office, they don't have to know that. As long as they know that this is the right place to go for access queries and you've not just tacked it on from somewhere else, that's what you need. And you definitely want to have an email and not just a phone number. I can't tell you how mind-boggling it is the number of times I will be looking at a website and I'll look at the access page and it says, if you have any questions or requirements that you would like us to work with or anything, please call us here. And as a deaf person, I have to laugh. There's no other option. But you get what I'm saying. It's kind of silly. So yeah, just make sure that you include that. You want to have a phone number as well, but you definitely need an email for your deaf audiences, for deaf people to contact you, because the phone sucks. Nobody likes using the phone. So give them that option. Moving on now to a page for a specific event. This is just an example. So this is a good example because it clearly shows what date and time the accessible performances are. So we've got the little captioned logo there. It's important to be really specific, even if there's no actual need for access. If the event doesn't actually have any noise or any sound that would be subtitled, tell them. Like if it's a gallery and there's only pictures, you can assume that people know that. But if you have a specific exhibition on which has video footage, but the video footage has no sound, make sure that people know that, because otherwise they're going to see there's a video involved and nowhere is it said that it's going to be accessible. So they'll assume that there is sound that they can't access. So do make sure that you are specific. The key here is to give your audiences, your visitors, the information they need to make an informed decision for themselves, right? And that includes whether or not they can access it. If you have any trailers on the event page, make sure they're subtitled. You want to start strong and continue strong, and lead by example. And even if it has got sound, there is something that would need to be subtitled, but you haven't got subtitles, tell them. Be honest, be upfront. And what this is a really good opportunity for you to put in something like, if you would like us to provide caption performances, please email access@so-and-so. And this means that you have public demand for access that you can then take to your manager, your CEO, and say, these people want subtitles, give us the budget to put it on. All right, so that's what that is. That's a good opportunity. I know it's not very nice to say, we can't provide access for this right now, but use that opportunity to get that demand so that you can go to the people that need to know that demand to get it on the agenda and get it done. So that event and that website access page, they were just generic examples. Usually when I'm doing this training, I would pull examples from the website of whichever organization I'm training, but obviously I can't do that here with you guys. I'm not going to name and shame anyone. So these were just kind of generic ones. If you want specific feedback for you, particularly in your organization, we can always do this training all over in person once we're allowed back outside, or you can get in touch and we can have a chat and we'll give you all the advice and support we can. We do also have a website audit where we can go through your online presence and give specific feedback on your accessibility for deaf audiences and where there may be improvement to be made. And that's really specific and saying you can do this here to make that. So that's an option as well. And here's an example of a YouTube page. This is our YouTube page. So this is, again, an example of a good YouTube page, an accessible YouTube page. This is just to demonstrate this little label that you see on YouTube. When something has subtitles on YouTube, there's a little label underneath, you can see it. It says subtitles in a little grey square. It's not very big. You'd be forgiven for missing it if you didn't require subtitles. But for someone like me, who does rely on subtitles, it's like a big neon signs saying, watch this, you can watch this. And so when I see videos that don't have that, again, it's a glaring omission. It's not just something you skim over. I go, that doesn't have subtitles, I'm not going to watch that. So this is what you want it to look like. When somebody arrives at your page and it's got all these little grey subtitle boxes, they immediately know that every video is accessible for them, and they know that you as a venue, as an organisation, are making an effort to make them included and to give them access. And the flip side of that, you're not going to get people who will arrive at your page and see all these little green subtitle boxes and go, ugh, not subtitles. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So that's subtitles in your organisation. These are some really key points that we've just gone over. This is the stuff that happens around subtitling to create that end-to-end accessibility and make the step from kind of doing the bare minimum, which is subtitling, to really incorporating access into your organizational culture as a whole. Thanks for tuning in. There's so much information here and we're so grateful that you're taking the time to watch these. I hope that you're taking it all on board. I know it may seem like not the best time to be worrying about these things, but there's no better time to improve access than right now. Your audiences are relying on you, but of course, we're here to help. Please share these videos so we can help as many people as we can incorporate deaf access into their organizations. As always, if you have any questions, my email is oliver@stagetech.org, but make sure you watch all 6 videos as they may well answer your questions. If you can, please consider donating. Doesn't have to be your life savings, in fact I'd advise against that, but anything you can spare will help. Link, as always, will be in the description. There's 2 more videos to go. We've only just started and it seems our time is already running out, but I will see you in the next one. Bye!